In December of 2006, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force and the National Coalition for the Homeless published a critical report on the state of gay youth homelessness. They called the issue an epidemic. If you have been homeless, if you could raise your hands, or have dealt with housing issues because of your sexuality, could you raise your hands and let me know?
Raise your hands high. I want the cameras to see it.
Yep, raise them high.
HMI defines homelessness as any young person who doesn't have stable housing, a young person who may be staying with friends, different friends on different nights.
They're in group homes already, they've already left their families of origin, and so that whole continuum of young people is not included in the statistics about true homelessness.
We've been doing a lot of research, and 42% of the 1.6 million homeless kids in America self-identify as GLBT. I think the big question after seeing that statistic is, why is it that gay children are homeless? I want to know your opinions.
Parents, they don't expect it. So when they don't expect it, they don't know how to deal with it. They were like, how else can we deal with this except letting them go out on their own?
I think generally when people are confronted with situations that they don't understand or things that they can't quite deal with, they go through all these other things besides acceptance, like anger and like sadness. So it's hard to accept something that you don't quite get.
Parents are scared of what society may think of them, but don't look at it, okay, if I take my kid out, what's society gonna look at me about that?
Right.
A lot of families or people in general believe that in order for the problem to go away, the person needs to go away.
So I want to know, in this city, in New York, where do you go? Where is it you go?
I really don't know. And that's what made me not want to come out to my parents. I don't know where to go if I was kicked out because of that.
We talk a good game about kids, but when you look at what is really backing up our national commitment to children, you find a dramatic shorting of housing available for them.
They go either to the Covenant House or they go to shelters such as, like Sylvia's. It's hard for people that are homeless to go to certain drop-in centers or certain places just because they know there's going to be somebody there that doesn't have anything better else to do than being shady.
A lot of the time, especially within the LGBTQ community, people utilize their friends to get to those shelters, to get to those agencies, and just to sometimes just to stay at a friend's house because, you know what I mean, it's easier than home.
I got in the system voluntarily. I had really bad issues with my mother, and it was me coming out of the closet, and she couldn't take it. And I've been in the system since I was 14, I think, or 15.
I know a lot of you are in the system. How does that make you feel in the system? How do you feel in it?
As a child who has spent 10 years of my life in the system, moving around from foster home to foster home, group home, diagnostic centers, psychiatric treatment centers. I mean, just moving around in general, it's lack of school, lack of trust, and lack of comfortability.
You can't really count on having something there when you never know when it's gonna disappear, or when you're gonna have to move, or when they're gonna say, okay, I think, you've been here long enough, I think you need a higher level of care.
They can't even help little kids who have no sexual identification, you know what I mean? They can't even help little kids. So it's you're left out there because social services is well, we're gonna take you away. And group homes are not fun. Let me tell you, it's not even Motel 6. No, I'm so serious.
The system lacks being sensitive to the needs of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender young people. There aren't a lot of foster parents who are going to want a young person who is transgender, so we're a long way off from creating a foster care system that is supportive of the population we serve.
They took me out of the house and put me into dangerous situations as a queer youth or still coming out. Because when I went to the diagnostic place, that's when I had to fight my ass off and with places and stuff like that.
They don't represent us. And if you're 15 and you just came out or you're having issues at home and whatever, you are, I know so many kids who are afraid because, a lot of these groups, the kids are angry. They are angry kids. So then if you come up in their gang, you get a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
I know there's a lot of kids who are in the system, and as myself, that has a lot of things that they want to fulfill for themselves. You feel like you're unable to move forward because you're unstable, and you end up going deeper into the gutter.
So then I want to know from all of you, then, because of this, what is home for you? When you think of home, what does that mean?
Home for me is just a place where I could feel safe. For some people in the life, home is just a place where you could just lay your head at, eat, and then leave and do the same thing over and over again.
You could be living at home and everyone else outside of you may recognize that you are gay, but you don't want to recognize it because you don't know if you will be accepted by them. I tend to find a distraction, something to just distract them from noticing you. So if that means staying at a friend's house all the time or staying outside in the streets, that will just help.
We go out and we're like, I'm myself. Welcome to HMI. But it's really hard being accepted. You know, any place that's a really comfortable situation where you can totally be yourself. You know, is a home.
Now I find it home because now I was willing to accept myself as a homosexual, to say that, you know, I'm going to be me, and that's just doing me. Whether if I want to vogue in the living room while my mother's watching TV, I'm going to do it. She actually vogues with me now.
That's awesome. Home for me has become a place where I'm completely isolated in my own self. When you are alone, like dealing with your problems, that has become like home for me.
Arguably, lesbian and gay teenagers continue to be the single most unrepresented and underserved population of young people in the United States. The issues that they face within a larger community, unfortunately still characterized by discrimination against adults, means that kids get it even worse.
Spaces like this is things that we need, because even if I'm not needing it now, I don't know when down the road I may have an emergency or anybody else might. And, you know, there's always somewhere to fall back on.
They want to have futures. They want to have careers. They want to have loving families.
One thing you want America to know about young gay people.
LGBTQ people are not a disease.
Homosexuals are not the stereotype.
We're not the main cause of HIV and AIDS.
I have a question for America. Why can't we be accepted? Why must we be outcast? Why can't we be accepted into society?
We're adventurous, funny, fashionable at times. We just want to be able to be proud.
We're humans and we have feelings. We're not animals or an alien, and we shouldn't feel like that.
We're change, like we create change, I think, for the world. I think we're a difference.
I want America to know, and the world to know, I like that, the world to know, we're not going anywhere. And no matter how hard they're gonna push it to try to get us away, we're gonna come back that much stronger.
But I really wanted to say to America that it's not okay, you know, and you can't get away with it. We deserve our dignity and our pursuit of happiness, so I'm watching.
Stay tuned for a look at next week's episode. Next week on My Address, meet Nicole. She's struggling to keep her faith.
Feelings aren't wrong. I hear that he's not out there to protect me.
I would go to my friend's house. I would stay out late.
Because this one part of me, I'm going to deny myself happiness because everyone else is telling me that it's wrong.